Croeso I Cymru. Welcome to Wales on coffeewithgpa.com. So if you're new to this channel and coffee is your passion and you love learning new things about how to make coffee and some of the best beans available to us in the market now, consider subscribing below. So, as I said at the very beginning, welcome to Wales. Well, kind of South Wales, but you knew that anyway. We've got 4 brand new coffees today from Teifi Coffee Roasters based in Ceredigion in West Wales. Having lived in the South Wales area for the last 6 or actually nearly 7 years, it's really great to finally review a roaster that's based in Wales itself. It's nice learning new things about the country where you live. Now, the first thing about this that's worth bearing in mind is that Teifi actually donate to charities with purchases of their coffee, whether that be wholesale or whether that be for a home user buying several bags for your own consumption. Now, the interesting thing about these particular coffees are that for the most part, they're all blends. Now, we don't normally review blends on Coffee with GPA, but I do think this is a great opportunity to try something fairly local to where I live, but also something that is actually really good as a blend. I think sometimes we can get too carried away on single origins and beans coming from a really specific area, but actually when they can be fused together, that can sometimes create an absolutely fantastic coffee experience. So what do we have from Teifi? Well, the 4 that we have are the Espresso blend, which is an Italian blend made from different coffees throughout Central America. We have the organic one. Now, the organic coffee itself is actually a single origin bean, and this is 100% Arabica bean from Colombia. So we do have some single origin ones as part of this set. We then have the Dragon. Now, this one is also a blend with some great coffees from Honduras and Costa Rica, just being some of those. I'm a big fan of Costa Rican coffee. As you remember, we did a bit of a video tour around where coffee was made based in Costa Rica as well. So if you haven't seen that, check out that video from the link as well. And finally, we have the 100% Arabica bean. Now, this one is predominantly Ethiopian, but it does also have those blended parts from Central America as well. So, how does this kind of tell a story for what Teifi have created? Well, I've seen this once or twice before and I really like that fact. It's a little bit like listening to an album and the way that it's been created or the way that it's been kind of produced tells a story from beginning to end. So every song on that album is the beginning, works its way through and tells that whole picture, so you get an idea of what the artist was thinking. This is kind of fairly similar with this to me, and I like that fact. It's kind of exciting. So what you actually have is something for everyone, I guess is probably the best way to describe it. So you have your, what I would say, more smooth, fragrant coffees, being the 100% Arabica and the organic. But you then go to a slightly darker place and you have the Espresso blend and then the Dragon. Now, the Dragon's probably going to be more of a signature type of coffee as well, just because obviously being very on point with where we are in Wales. But the strength goes nice and mellow to something very punchy towards the end, which is actually super useful, because if you do require coffee in perhaps a certain way, that's a nice way of being able to tell that story and utilising different coffees by the same roaster, but to give you a slightly different profile. Now, the beans themselves are of a fairly kind of small to medium size and a nice roast, a good kind of medium roast. But as you get up towards this end, again, still small, medium size, very similar blended beans, but you do have a slightly darker roast. So what do we get on the nose with each of these? So with the 100% Arabica first, and actually quite a smooth type of, I would say it's actually got a bit of a creamy sweetness to it as well. I'd say maybe milk chocolate being the first thing you can smell in that. So that one's quite good. Okay, let's look at the organic coffee. And I would say the organic one's probably a little bit sweeter as well. Has a bit more of a chocolatey note in there. Now for the espresso, let's see what we get from this one. Yeah, then you start getting those slightly more savoury notes in that. Bit of a darker roast, but the flavour changes quite a lot. It's kind of interesting, that one. And then finally the dragon. And again, this one's kind of interesting because there is actually a savoury note in there, being a slightly more strengthy, slightly stronger coffee. But actually there's quite a nice, very, very subtle little sweet note in there as well. Yeah, that one's pretty good as well. So they all smell really nice, and on the front of the bag they'll show you what they're designed for as well. If you are getting it ground to order, everything's ground locally as well from Teifi Coffee Roasters. So we know what they smell like, we know what they look like. Let's see what they taste like. So there is our Dragon Coffee by Teifi Coffee Roasters. Kind of a cool colour actually, it looks lovely and dark. And the smell is actually sort of really vibrant. You can tell that it's going to be a strong coffee, but you can also tell that a lot of love has gone into the roasting of these beans, especially with the mix of where they're from. You should detect a bit of an almost nutty aroma just on the surface of that first smell as well. Let's give it a quick swig and see what we find out. This is a really nice coffee. So this is quite a homely coffee. I can kind of picture this being more, maybe an everyday coffee, but something that you're certainly going to enjoy regularly rather than kind of a special treat once here and there. This has got a lot of legs on it to be a consistent day-to-day coffee. It's strong enough to give a bit of a kick and a bit of a punch, and it does have like a very rich flavour to it as well. I like that. I think that's good. I really like a kind of nice flavour, a smooth flavour, where there is, I guess best way of describing it, I like to be able to taste the coffee beans actually in the coffee itself. Let me expand on that. I like to taste the coffee being fresh, that you can taste the grind almost inside the coffee. And that does produce that in a really lovely way. Even though it's a very strong black coffee, that is a good quality black coffee. Let's add some milk to this just to see what it's like if we kind of make it into a longer milky drink. Perfect, round two. So same coffee, this time I'm using my Oatly Barista to try and just drag out some of those slightly sweeter notes. Maybe the oat milk will do that as well naturally, but just to see what this coffee's like as a milky coffee. Now the difference this time round is it still tastes nice and strong, but the oat milk brings out the nuttier flavours. So it has a bit of a almost cashew kind of taste and consistency to it, which I like even more. So I think I would drink that personally for me as more of a milky coffee. Have a little try of these because you're not going to be breaking the bank by going for a bag of this as something a bit different. It is a celebration of coffee sort of roasted in Wales, and I think that's a lovely thing to be a part of. Go grab yourself a bag from the link below. I hope this review's kind of helped a little bit in giving you a bit of an insight into something different that you can experience or explore, but please subscribe if you haven't done already. We've got more coffees coming up very soon, and I can't wait to see you again. Take care.
Because you don't know who